All right, folks, got head coach Jim Larrañaga here with 699 career victories. Miami heads up to Connecticut this weekend for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off tournament and opens with Coach L's alma mater, Providence, in the first game. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach and then go into questions.
Well, I'm 0-2 against Providence in my career. I hate to say that, but I think Ed Cooley has done a magnificent job at Providence College. It's really a school, a college that focuses a lot of energy in their men's basketball program. They have great sellout crowds at home. There's a tremendous fan base throughout the state of Rhode Island. And last year, they had a great squad, won the Big East, went to the Sweet 16. And he's got another great team this year. So I feel like this is a real critical game for us. We need to figure out how to guard these guys and how to attack them because they're a very, very strong opponent.
All right, we'll go into questions. We'll start with Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press.
Thanks, Alex.
Wait a minute, Tim Reynolds?
Hi, Al. How you doing?
Hi, Tim.
Coach, when somebody approaches a milestone, people typically ask them, what's changed over the years. I wanted to go a different route. I wanted to ask, what's from that first game against UMass Boston to now, what's been the constant? Like what hasn't changed with you over these 39 seasons?
Yeah, to me, I haven't changed. I shouldn't say it that way. I haven't changed in the sense of how much I love the game, how much I love working with the players, how much I enjoy practice and being around so many terrific athletes. The competition hasn't changed, how hard teams play and how difficult it is to win a game. Sometimes people will look at who you're playing and say, oh, this will be an easy game. For a coach, there are no easy games. I don't care who the opponent is, because you don't know how your team will function. You don't know how prepared they will be mentally and physically. You could have guys who are injured, key players. You could have guys who are not really mentally ready because they had a fight with their girlfriend or they flunked the test. So in a sense, that stuff has not changed in the last 50 years. There's always great competition on the court. And as a coach and as your coaching staff, you have to really prepare your players to try to be the best they can be that night, because the opponent is going to be different.
Jim, will the milestone mean anything to you?
People talk about milestones. I've been at this a long time. I enjoy the coaching. If I get to my 700th win, I'm hoping it'll be this season. I hope I don't have to coach another year to get to it, but only got one more to get. I'm assuming I'll get there at some point. But quite honestly, it's more about this team trying to play its best basketball on Saturday at 4:00 against a very fine opponent.
Thank you.
Go to Azubi Charles from Kane Sport. Azubi.
Hey, Coach, just kind of sticking on the topic of the 700 wins. Did you ever think, the opportunity would come against, your former alma mater, and just how awesome would that be to pick up that 700 win against Providence?
Well, I think beating Providence anytime in basketball is a big accomplishment, but it's not about my wins. This is about this year's team. They're 3-0. They've won 3 straight home games. They're off to a good start, and we're going to be highly challenged on Saturday against a team that went to the Sweet 16. So in my mind, this is about our players learning what Providence is all about, having a good game plan together. I just met with my staff, spent a lot of time yesterday and today trying to prepare for them. And hopefully today and tomorrow, practice will go well. In preparation for our last game against Florida A&M, I didn't think our focus was what I would have liked for it to be. Unfortunately, we still played pretty good and were able to win. But this opponent is much different. They're much bigger, much stronger, much more physical. They play in a very high level of league in the Big East, and I think that prepares them for games like this very well. In addition to that, the facility we're playing in is an hour from their campus. So they'll have tremendous support at the game because Providence College, notoriously, their fans travel. They'll be at the game in large numbers cheering for the Friars.
Go to Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald. Michelle.
Hey, Jim. Knowing what you know now about Providence, and you said you just went over stuff with your staff and everything, how well prepared, how do you think your team will do? I mean, what areas do concern you? I know you've talked about lack of size. You brought that up every game so far. What is it in particular that is going to be the biggest challenge, you think, for your team from what you've seen of your team and what you've seen of Providence so far?
Well, there's three things that my coaching staff have emphasized and prioritized for practice. The first is rebounding. Providence College is right now 14th in the country in offensive rebound percentage. Oh, they're really good in an area we haven't been that strong in. The second is they're very fast. So our defensive conversion and getting back so that they cannot get easy baskets in transition will be hugely important. That means there's two categories. One, we can't turn the ball over. And two, we've got to make shots in order to get back and set our defense, because missed shots give an opponent a much better chance of running. And then the third thing is we need to be able to control the tempo and play at our pace, whether it's fast, when we got opportunities to force some turnovers or get some rebounds and run, we need to take advantage of those. But also when the fast break is not there, not to be in a hurry to execute the game plan, because Providence plays several different defenses. They actually play ball screen defense differently for every opponent. So we won't know until the game begins if they're going to be switching or if they're going to go under ball screens or go over ball screens. So we're going to have to find that out early in the game, and then our players are going to have to adjust. So we have some very clear priorities right now.
Thank you.
Go to Luke Cheney from All Hurricanes. Luke.
Hey, Coach. What does North Chatham bring to your team on the defense end of the floor?
Well, first of all, everybody knows he's got tremendous spirit. His enthusiasm and energy that he brings to the court is outstanding. But he's an undersized big man, so he's always going to have to guard someone who probably has him by 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, and maybe even in weight. Even though Northshad weighs 240 or 245, he's oftentimes going to be defending someone that could be 250 and even bigger. So he's a very versatile defender. He's got to do a great job of guarding ball screens, because that's what Providence College does a lot. And they also post up. Now, one of the things we're going to have to really concentrate on is trying to keep the ball out of the low post, because once they get it in there, they're very effective.
Go to Doug Sherman of ESPN. Doug.
Hey, Jim, when you see pictures of yourself playing for Providence,
Hey, Doug, is ESPN doing this game?
We're going to be there.
All right.
What do you think when you see yourself in those shorts, doing your thing with the Friars? And please tell me about your triple-double.
You're going back in time. Start over, Doug. What is the question?
Two questions.
About my shorts?
Two questions. What do you think when you see yourself in those old pictures? And two, tell me about your triple-double.
Okay. The first is when my grandchildren see those shorts, they laugh hysterically. And it's not just about how short they are. It's about the belt buckle that was in the middle, a metal belt buckle on my shorts. And that today would be a no-no. My triple double, I don't even remember when it was. Can you tell me who we played?
No, maybe Alex knows. It only says you had a triple double.
I know it was 15 assists, 20 plus points, and I believe 10 rebounds. I will find the opponent. I was looking the other
In the
day.
15 assist game, I didn't have 20 points. In the 15 assist game, I probably can tell you who that was. If I'm thinking correctly, it was VCU.
Okay.
I might have, but I don't recall. Those, I have a hard time remembering stuff from last week. Forget about not just 50 years ago. That would have been in 1968, I believe. If it was VCU, I think it was 1968.
Well, if I can follow up about those days, what do you take still today? As Tim was asking you, what has changed? What do you take from Coach Mulaney all these years later? And does his voice still ring true in your ears?
I had great mentors in coaching. My first was Jack Curran at Archbishop Malloy High School.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always admired about him that I've tried to take with me is he never used vulgarity. He never cursed his players. He never screamed and cursed at them during practice or games or in the locker room. I got to Providence College, and Joe Mulaney was the exact same way. He was a coach, a teacher, a mentor. He wasn't someone that belittles you or degraded you, no matter how bad you played or how many bad shots you took. He was always just, encouraging. And I've tried to really be that way with my players. I think coaches are teachers, and I never had a teacher in the classroom, curse me out for missing a math problem or spelling a word wrong. You try to correct. So we've always used a 5-step teaching method: explanation, demonstration, imitation, correction, and repetition. And that was true from the first time I started coaching till today.
All right, last question for Coach L comes from Mike Miller of Field of 68.
Hey, Coach, you've talked a little bit about what hasn't changed, but what has changed is part of the transfer portal. And it's interesting to see you and Providence both building your teams through the portal and having success in doing both. How would you say that will be interesting to see as you prepare for really your first true test of the season? And it's the same thing for Providence. I mean, I know you guys started slow last year and kind of hit your stride. It'll be the same thing this year, I suppose, where you probably don't really know how your team is faring until now. And it's because you got a whole bunch of new players, I would assume.
Yeah. Just to sidetrack, it was against VCU 1969-70 season. I don't know how many points I had. Anyway, the game has
You had
changed.
20, Jim.
What?
It was a 2015 game.
I had 20 points,
Yes, sir.
15 assists, and 10 rebounds.
I don't know about the rebounds. I know it was a triple double, but it was a 2015 game.
I hope it wasn't 10 turnovers.
Yeah, I've got it here. It was 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 15 assists against VCU on December 8th, 1969.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, whatever you're looking at, send that to me.
Will do, Coach.
I got to send it to my grandchildren.
You got it.
They're always saying back in my day, there were no good players.
I will send it over.
Okay, so there's been so many changes over the years that the answer to your question is nothing has remained the same. When I first started coaching, we could recruit 365 days of the year, and I was on the road 200 of those days. So the first thing that changed in my career was recruiting rules. We all of a sudden had recruiting periods where you're allowed to go on the road for a while, but then you couldn't go on the road. There were dead periods. And then summer basketball changed. AAU programs. When I first started, I was going to a lot of camps and summer leagues. When AAU ball got to be the thing all kids did in the summer, we went to just AAU events. And so that changed recruiting dramatically, because now you had the shoe companies competing for the best players to play in their summer circuits. And so the recruiting calendar changed, how many days you could go out kept being reduced. That was a dramatic change in recruiting efforts. At the same time, in 1986, the college basketball game changed forever when Ed Stites and the Rules Committee added the three-point shot. And originally, very few coaches took advantage of the three. Rick Pitino was the first to really take Providence College to the Final Four in 1980, was it 87, 85? In the 80s, he took them to the Final Four by Billy Donovan and his squad shooting a ton of threes. And then pretty soon, you know, every kid wanted to shoot the three, and there was no hesitation. Now all big guys want to shoot the three, and so there was no post-up game. None of the bigs wanted to be a post player. They all wanted to shoot threes like the guards. And now you have NIL and transfer portal, and teams jumping leagues has changed the whole college basketball landscape. And so I've lived through all of it. We've tried to make our own adjustments to it. So before there was even a transfer portal, we always looked for transfers to replace guys in the spring, because sometimes you just didn't know if you'd have any scholarships available in the spring. We always have recruited high school players very hard. We have 4 freshmen on our roster right now, and we have 3 sophomores. So half our team is in the freshman sophomore class. But when you have scholarships available in the spring, all the good high school players are gone. So you have to look at the transfers, and we did. We got, you know, Shane Larkin as a transfer. We got Angel Rodriguez and Sheldon McClellan and Kamari Murphy. We've always had some success recruiting. We got Keith Stone as a transfer from Florida. And then, you know, last year we had Charlie Moore and Jordan Miller, who are 2 great transfers who started for us and led us to the Elite 8. And now we've got Nigel Pack and Norshad Omir. And we're always going to have to do that because we'll have scholarships available in the springtime like we have now. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time. Well, players in short.